Okay, whenever you're ready, I'll share my screen and we can open the meeting.
All right, so being 6:30 and having quorum, I'll open the Town of Bridgewater Planning Board meeting for Wednesday, July 7th, 2021. Patrick Fiscal, the chair. To my left is Mr. Michael McDonald, the vice chair, Mr. Stephen Geller, Mr. Raymond Jemian. To my right is Mrs. Jean Garino, the clerk, and Mrs. Astrid Rojas, our associate member. So we're doing this. So, Mrs. Farinacci, I'm not going to read the
Correct, because-
Governor Baker's thing because we're doing it Zoom. So there's nobody in the public here, but
There's one
Well,
person.
just one
There's-
person.
I'm sorry.
Just you.
I meant to say nobody but an engineer, right?
No,
I'm sorry.
no, only wishful thinking.
I'm sorry.
Whatever.
So we have one public attendee and a number of Zoom attendees. So how would you like to handle the public comments through Zoom? Would you like a chat? Or would you like? a
Yes, they
raise
can
my
either
hand?
chat or raise their hand feature, either
Right.
way, whichever is
So we do have a
easiest.
couple of public hearings this evening. If you are in public attendance and we open it up to the public, we just ask that you come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. And if you're on Zoom, when we have public comment, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand or sending Ms. Farinacci a chat question or request to speak, and we can let you in via Zoom. So the first item on the agenda this evening at 6:30 is a public hearing. 152 Elm Street. It's a special permit. Mrs. Farinacci, do you have the public hearing notice?
Yes, I do. Give me just a moment.
Mrs. Doyle, did we receive the green cards, the fees, et cetera? Do we know that
Yeah.
we have?
Green cards were received. Well, I know that they had sent them.
And fees and things have been paid?
Yes.
Is the applicant in attendance here or?
They're on via Zoom.
on
so
Zoom?
I am currently here, Tom Graziano.
One second, all right, I'm sorry. You have everything you need, Mrs. Farinacci?
Yes, I do. I apologize. The public hearing on Wednesday, July 7th, 2021. Oh, sorry. Let's just make sure I'm reading the right one. At 6:30 PM at the Academy Building, 66 Central Square, and via Zoom, the Bridgewater Planning Board will conduct a public hearing on application by Thomas Graziano Jr. for a special permit under section 6.3 of the table of uses for a food establishment in one of his units located at 152 Elm Street, Bridgewater. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
So we did receive a director's report, and I know, Mrs. Farinacci, we talked about sending this out to PMP for review. Did they ever respond?
They did not respond. We had asked if they responded before Wednesday too.
And they didn't respond at
They
all?
have not yet, no.
Okay, so, just a little background before we turn this over to Mr. Graziano. I think this has been hanging around for a long time.
Months,
and we've
yes.
been waiting for a peer review that may or may not be needed. So let's turn it over to Mr. Graziano, and then we can talk about that. There's no external change, I believe, to the exterior. It's just the use interior, correct?
Correct.
So, Mr. Graziano, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Yes, this is all correct. My name is Tom Graziano Jr., 1643 South Street in Bridgewater, Mass. So what I'm looking to do is my father is actually in the process of building a 7-bay unit over on 152 Elm Street. And I want to use that first bay unit right on the street side as a food establishment, catering business, kind of like a sandwich sub shop, storefront with meats, and sell a countertop, limited seating. I know that we did talk about obviously doing a little bit of an outdoor area, but that's obviously, we can put that on the back burner now, and we can figure out that when, you know, the time comes. But definitely looking to do this, and I've been doing this for quite some time now. I currently run a restaurant up in Walpole. Been doing that for about 8 years, and I was at the 99 before that for about 5 years. And I look forward to bringing a lot of good food to the town of Bridgewater.
Could you blow that up on the screen, Mr. Steinhardt? And then go through the interior layout that you sent us?
So this is the exterior of the site. This is the pocket that he's looking to use.
Do we have plans for that?
Yes, we do. Oh, I have to.
So yes, that picture that's up right now, that's the whole layout of the whole all 7 bays. So I would currently, I would be taking that first bay that would be right on the street side of Elm Street. And as I highlighted what the parking would be as well, what I would have.
Do you want to give everybody one of those and one of these?
Mhm.
So that's the open. This is the patio. We have a new plan with the patio.
handed you all. No, we don't have a revised.
Okay, Mr. Graziano, we have everything in front of us, so.
Awesome. What else? Let's see. So I also sent you over. So what you're currently looking at, like I said, is all 7 bays. And what's highlighted would be the parking that I would have for my unit with handicap parking as well. And then if you see that other plan as well that I have, I think what I'm pretty sure you have the revised one without the outdoor seating that I wanted to do, correct?
Correct. So this is the first bay facing Elm Street, correct?
Correct.
So. And Mr. Farinacci, in your report, you said there is adequate parking, correct?
Yes, because there is, I believe, 9 seats inside of the interior of the building. He needs 1 space for each 4 seats inside. So the original site only required 14 spaces and they provided 17. Since he's using exactly 2,120 square feet, 26 square feet of the building, he would only need 2 square feet, 2 parking spaces per square feet, but for the use, he needs 3, but they meet that. The remainder of the building is going to be 12,000 square feet, so they'll only require 12 parking spaces for the remainder of the building. There's 17 on site, so it meets all of the parking requirements.
And everything being proposed is inside the building. And there's no exterior changes to parking or drainage, and the patio is not being proposed, so we wouldn't need a technical review right now.
Correct. There's no proposed changes to the exterior of the site.
But the thing that was triggering the technical review, in your opinion, was the patio?
Correct. If there was a proposed patio, it would have been in this existing grass area, which is actually where the recharge field is. There's drainage proposed in this area for the site.
Right.
So if he had impacted this with any type of impervious surface, that would have required an engineer review. But since he's removed the proposed any type of impervious surface on the outside, it doesn't trigger any type of engineer review. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't impact parking, drainage, the exterior of the site. He's using the existing parking bay that's there, the loading bay off the back of the kitchen. The only other question maybe would be if there's a dumpster on the site. I didn't see that.
So-
Correct, which that is something that I did talk about with my father, which we will definitely be having a dumpster on site as opposed to what the other businesses are going to be as well, whether it's going to be a joint or my own. If that's what's needed, then I can do my own. But that is also in the works.
Board questions for Mr. Graziano?
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple. First, I'm just a little, looks like a fine proposal. I'm just confused about the description of the parking. I'm confused about how many parking, we have X number, how many parking spaces on site right now?
17,
17. How many required for the restaurant?
3.
3 parking spaces for a restaurant?
Yes, it's 1 per 4 seats, and he's proposing 9 indoor seats. It's largely going to be takeout, I believe. It's going to
Correct.
be.
Takeout and catering as well.
So we have 14 on-site parking right now, and we're going to add 3. Is that what you're saying?
There's 17 on site.
17
currently.
on site
He requires 3, which leaves 14
for
for the remainder of the building, which is 12,000 square feet.
that 14 is enough for the
Remainder of the building, correct. If you do it by the way they calculated the parking initially was based on a warehouse use, so it's 1 space per 1,000 feet. So at 12,000 feet, they only require 12 spaces. They'll have 14.
Okay, so what
remaining to
I'm
that.
hearing is that the only change from the present use that's required is parking, and we have it already. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And the restaurant does require a special permit in this zone. So that's why he applied for the special permit. It's a requirement that in this zone, he applied for a special permit for the restaurant use, so the food use. But typically, parking requirements trigger site plan review, and this one did not because the site already met the required parking.
What about signage?
Is there any proposed signage, Tom, going on the site?
There will be for the whole, every single bay. That's going to be, I believe it's, if you see on the sign right there, it says proposed sign. That's going to be something that's going to be done for every single unit. So there'll be a sign on that. For my personal bay, I haven't proposed anything for a single out sign. So that's going to, that proposed sign right there, that's going to be for every single unit that's there, all 7 bays.
Okay.
Which would be almost like something you see at the end of Scotland Boulevard or that Elm Street Industrial Park there too, where you see that, I believe that sign that they have there where it labels every single business that's going to be there.
First Street.
So if I may bounce off of Ray's question, the proposed wall sign that's on the, that says proposed wall sign on the building, is that different from the one that's going to be out on the street?
No, that's going to, that proposed sign right there, that's going to be the one sign that will be for every single unit that's on the, every single bay.
And what's the proposed wall sign that's on the building? Or is that not going to happen?
That's still, it potentially will happen. That's still going to be in the works. I really just wanted, what I was doing was focus on getting that special permit to know that I'm able to, do food there and to establish myself. Then I'm going to, work off of that.
So just so we don't confuse things.
Mhm.
What we have before us, Mrs. Farinacci, we've already approved.
Correct. This 152 was,
So this colored plan is already approved. All we're really looking at is the use,
Right.
correct.
right? So this stuff, the proposed signs and stuff, we've already approved this on this existing plan.
Correct. That's already been approved under a site plan.
Then I'll bounce back to the 3 parking spaces. Does one of those have to be handicapped?
No, they do not. I'd asked Jennifer. She said it does not, so.
Why not?
Because it's under a certain amount.
Okay.
But there are 3 handicap parking spaces, I believe, on the site, or maybe perhaps it's 2, but
I believe it was 2.
It's 2.
Yeah, there's 2.
I believe it's 10 or under 10.
Any board questions?
And then again, on the surface, this seems like a minor change. I'm just wondering whether we're missing anything here. That's all.
So do we want to see if there are any public comments at this point?
Yes, please.
So if anybody from the public would like to speak, this public hearing for 152 regarding this special permit, please raise your hand or come to the podium if you're in attendance.
I don't see any hands raised on Zoom.
So just a couple more questions, Mrs. Farinacci. So I imagine in addition to the standard special permit condition, we'd want to make sure that the patio prior to being built would come back to us for a technical review.
Yes, absolutely. They would have to apply for a modification and then you would determine if it were a minor or major modification.
And because of parking, we'd want to limit it to 9 indoor seats,
Correct.
special permit.
I believe he could get up to 12 because it's 1 per 4. So he could have 3 parking spaces. It would still be adequate for 12 indoor seats. Right now he has 9.
So not to exceed 12.
I would recommend 12 as that doesn't impact the number of parking.
What about hours? Is that something we should handle in special permit criteria? Are they proposed hours, Mr. Graziano?
I do not have any proposed hours at this time.
My proposed hours are most likely going to be 7 to 7, Tuesday through Saturday. Probably be closed on Sunday and Mondays.
Is that something that the council would do? He's going to have to apply for a common vic license anyway.
I would have to check with Steven Solari. I don't know. Late 7's a little bit late, but I mean, it's a food permit, so I think they have different hours allocated to them. But,
You think 7's late?
well, just for me, for the business park, but it's a restaurant use, so most restaurants are open until, what, 9, 10, 11? Steven Solari is here. He can comment on that. He looks like he's raising his hand.
Could we ask
Yeah,
Mr.
the 7 to 7, that's the industrial zone. So first of all, the hours down there are pretty much 24 hours on the industrial zone. But 7 to 7 is going to be no problem with this type of a business use at all. It meets all the criteria. And just to get back to the handicapped, you got to have one handicap for the first 25 spots, but it has to be a van spot. So just so that they know that it has to meet the requirements of van spot. That's all.
I didn't see that, sorry. So do we want to limit, so Mr. Solari, do you suggest we limit hours to not exceed 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night, or, I mean, or
Yeah, I don't see any problem. If Mr. Graziano wants to give you certain hours, I'd go with that. And like you said, it's going to be a common vic license through the council. And then if the hours change, he would have to go through the council anyways on the hours.
Well, the only thing is I just want to make sure it's not like 24 hours and people don't know about that. So I'd like to put some hour limitation on it if we need to adjust it. Do you think, Mr. Graziano, you think 7 to 7 is adequate, or would you like to do 7 to 12 or?
How about let's do 7 to 11, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. just to give me some wiggle room, if that's okay with everybody else.
I mean, most restaurants are open to 1 o'clock. So, I mean,
Well, I take it the intent of this restaurant is mainly to appeal to the workers on Elm Street. And I suspect that that's what the 7 to 7 was, why you first came up with 7 to 7.
Correct.
some of those, the only reason I was saying 11, we just recently let Polar Beverages go, 24 hours next door?
Right.
Was that 24 hours, or we expanded the hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 24 hours for the
Yep.
trucks to go in and out.
Mr. Solari, were you trying to?
Yes, it's 24 hours for Poland Springs.
And if you're going to do catering,
Could be working there at night.
yeah.
Agreed.
Do you think, Mr. Solari, as part of the special permit and for zoning and stuff, we should limit the hours or not limit the hours in your opinion?
Oh, I'd rather not give an opinion on that. That's more of a call of either the board or the council as far as hours of work hours.
So in a common vic license, are they going to limit the hours, or is that something we should consider?
Yeah, some of the common vic license, because I do all the inspections for all the restaurants in town. Some of them have certain limits, but most of them have that usually 11 o'clock range, unless it's like a 99 or or other restaurants of that particular nature. Emma's, that kind of.
So is the board comfortable with like 7 to 11 p.m.?
Is this near any houses?
There's a couple across the street from there, yeah.
why not start with something like 7 to 9? And then at some point, maybe if it works out, we can go to a later time.
You okay
That
with
work-
that,
that
Mr.
works.
Graziano?
Yeah, that works for me.
If you need to adjust them, we can come back and do that through the council.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, he originally asked for 7 to 7, so I think 7 to 9 is a good midpoint.
All right, and that's just hours open to the public if he wants to work in there prepping for them, because that's a 24-hour zone, right? So Mr. Solari, that wouldn't limit him from working overnight. Let's say he's got a big catering order, he could work there through the night if he wanted to, correct? I don't want to,
Correct.
that'd be basically to serve the public from those hours. And then after that, he could work in the building to prep for the next day, get his catering ready, correct?
Yep.
Is that how we should state it, the hours to the public are 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.?
That's up to you.
First Tuesday through Saturday, is that correct, Mr. Graziano?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
That was Tuesday through Saturday, is that correct?
Correct.
You know what, I personally wouldn't want to limit it, because if he
Yeah.
wants to open up Monday,
Yeah.
Monday through Sunday. All right, any other board comments, questions? So typically we require the technical review and we sent it out. I mean, this has been out for 4, 6, something crazy weeks and we
Oh,
haven't
more
gotten it
than
back.
that. Oh, yes.
But because of that, he's removed the patio, so there's no external change.
Correct.
So we have a requirement for that. Is the board okay with waiving the technical review because there is no change to drainage or anything else at this point? And if he does come back to the patio, then we can have him do the technical review? I mean, there's really nothing to review, right?
It's just the
Right.
use. It's a special permit use. It would have
Right.
come before you as a special permit if it hadn't had the patio. So without the technical review requirement. So
When was the technical review triggered? By whom?
it's triggered once the applicant submits the application, but it had gone to Azu.
It did go to a zoo.
And it took quite a long time for me to get the response that Azu is the original engineer on the site and we had to send it out for third-party review. So we had sent it out to PMP Associates, who then also took a very long time. to come
Was
in.
that just because of the patio?
Right. Because
Just
of
from,
the-
just for the patio?
Yeah,
correct.
because interior wouldn't require a review of the exterior.
But part of it, but if we condition it now that if he'd have to come back for modification if he wants to do the patio, then that would trigger the technical review again.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's nothing to review outside, in my opinion. So I'm okay with the technical review, but just condition it that if he does the patio, he's gonna come for modification, that's all. Are we okay
Okay.
with that?
Yep.
Well, it's got to do that anyways. It doesn't have to be part of the motion or anything.
Well, I would, just because the plan we have shows the patio.
Okay.
He didn't submit a plan that removed the patio, correct?
Correct. I had not received a plan that removed the patio.
I apologize. I thought I sent that over to you.
Oh, that's okay.
All right, any further discussion? Any other questions, board questions? Sir Jimmy?
No, well, I guess the only thing that's going through my mind is that if we asked for a technical review a long time ago, and we don't have one, there's something wrong there. That if we need some expert advice, we should get it in a timely fashion, which we,
I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe we should look to add other outside consultants, you know, when Mr. Antonio has a conflict, because we've been talking about this for months. and It's unfair to. the
Right.
applicant.
The applicant.
Correct. It took a long time to find out there was a conflict. That's what part of the issue was. That I sent it for review and hadn't known that there was a conflict for a while. So Jennifer did let me know there was a conflict and that's when we sent it to PMP. But then they, Took
Yeah, I
weeks
just
as
don't-
well.
Like we talked about this before, I just don't want to hold it up any longer.
right.
And if he's removing the patio. I think
Okay.
So do we have a motion to close the public hearing on the special permit?
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
So by Mr. Jemian, do we have a second on the?
Second,
to close the public hearing on the special
I'll
permit?
second it.
By Mrs. Garino. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed on closing? No. Do we have a motion on approval or denial of the special permit?
Make a motion to approve the special permit.
With any conditions?
The added condition of operating hours of 7 AM to 9 PM.
Can I just note that that's for the public and for the
Public.
But
building?
yeah, for public access, and also that should a patio be later added, it would trigger a modification to the special permit. That would come
Okay,
before.
and then we're maximum of 12 indoor seats.
Yep, maximum
So
12
those three conditions.
Unless you would like to condition that when the time comes, they install the dumpster, that it be screened. I don't know if that's something
The
that,
dumpster proposed in the plan.
There is a dumpster.
oh, there is a
there.
dumpster there? Okay,
Right.
excellent. I
On the
hadn't seen the
property.
dumpster.
With a stockade fence around it.
Okay, excellent. I hadn't seen that on the plan.
Um,
No, that's
Whether
fine.
they'll need more.
So we have a motion with 3 additional conditions to our normal special permit conditions. We have a second
Second.
by Mr. Geller. Any discussion? All in favor of the special permit?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Graziano. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Michael said all week. Michael. makes motions. All right, so next on the agenda, we have another public hearing for a special permit and site plan. I think those are the big ones that were just
Yeah.
handed out to us. For Scotland Boulevard, on lot 1, for special permit and a site plan. Is Mr. Antonero with us on Zoom? Mrs. Sarnak?
He
Yes.
said he was coming on. Is he on? here?
Yeah.
I'm here, David Kleiner.
Azu is on. Yes, Mr. Ichiro is on. Yes.
If you wouldn't mind, do we have that notice, the green cards and the fees?
Yes, let me read that notice. The public notice on Wednesday, July 7th, 2021 at 6:30 PM, the Academy Building, 66 Central Square and Zoom. The Bridgewater Planning Board will be conducting a public hearing on application by Theodore E. Parker Jr. to construct 3 CDL driving courses surrounded with Cape Cod berm and all associated drainage on a lot at the end of Scotland Boulevard, as shown on Assessor's Map 59, Lot 14. The plan was prepared by Collins Civil Engineering Group, Inc. and is on file in the office of the town clerk and CED. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
Again, this is a public hearing for Scotland Boulevard Lot 1. We never previously approved site plan for this lot line, correct, Mrs. Farinacci?
Correct. It was approved in November of 2019 is when it was stamped in with the clerk.
Person or on Zoom?
Mr. Kleiner, are you
Yes,
representing? Do you have a screen you'd like to share or?
yes, I do.
Okay. let me give you that. You should be all set, Mr. Kleiner.
I just want to see, can everybody see the screen? Should be up now.
Yes.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dave Kleiner from Collins Civil Engineering Group. With me tonight is Jason Souza. He is the representative for Ted Parker, for the applicant and owner. And what we're proposing is to, it's kind of a modification to the existing site plan, but it was enough of a change that it was decided that we go through full site plan review. And this is only for the, this is for lot 1, which is here on the USGS map. This lot here, right next to it, has been the lot that's been developed, 75 Scotland Boulevard. So this would be lot 1, which was proposed to be just simply grassed, cleared and grassed and swaled. So the existing conditions plan, which is this plan here, shows the grades that came out. All the basins are in with the outlet pipes and the overflows. There are 4 basins. They've all been loamed and seeded. The street is under construction. The road isn't part of this because it's part of the old site, it's part of the existing site plan. And it's probably 90% complete. What needs to be done with the road is the gas company and the electric company have to decide where their utilities are going, and they've been dragging their feet quite a bit. The drainage is in, the sewer is in, the water is in for the street. The underground infiltration systems are in for both the building pad and the street. So we're kind of waiting on the utility companies to get on board here and show us where the electrical is going to go and where the gas is going to go. And we're just waiting for that information to finish up the road and the building. So what I've done is the existing conditions is shown here on this plan. The silt fence, the property line is shown in yellow, the portion of the property line that we can see. The wetland line is shown in green. 25-foot is the first orange, 50-foot is the second, and the red is the 100-foot buffer. And it is to grade. They cleared it and they graded it. They loamed it, like I said, they loamed and seed all the basins, all the inlet and outlet pipes are on the basins. So everything is constructed there. And what we're proposing on sheet 3 of 10 is the layout anyways, are 3 CDL driving classes. The entrance would be here off the cul-de-sac, and there'd be a 12-foot wide access easement between 2 CDL driving courses to access the 3rd CDL driving course. There are 4 bays here for full-size trucks. These trucks would be stored here occasionally on site, but most of the time these trucks are going to be at Mr. Parker's place in Avon. Correct me if I get any of this incorrect, Jason. But I believe that these trucks will be here for portion of the time when the classes are going on. But when classes aren't going on, and some of the time they will be at the Avon Industrial Park that Ted owns as well.
Correct.
These driving courses are going to be surrounded by Cape Cod berm. This just helps direct the drainage flow into our drainage structures, which I'll be going over shortly. But there are 3 driving courses here. The drainage structures are pretty much, these are double catch. These are, these are catch basins. They're double catch basins because they're all, each one's going to catch a significant amount of impervious surface. So I have double catch basins at the corners of the first 2, and at this point in the corner of the on this one, and back here in the corners of this one. So everything is drained into all these catch basins. We have a drain manhole, an oil water separator. So each catch basin goes into its own, as a first flush, into its own oil water separator on all of these systems. And then we go into Caltech underground recharge areas, which recharge the impervious surface. That's what we're coming up with. And then it goes into the existing basins. Every basin has been, these recharge areas are designed so that what we put into the basins and what flows out of the basins is equivalent to or less than what would be flowing in this existing conditions here. So it's not the existing conditions from this previous plan. I use this as the existing conditions, and we equal or reduce runoff to the 4 catch basins. The outlet pipes are here, 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 and here, and we reduce or equal runoff from the existing conditions from the previous site plan. This is across the cross sections for the underground recharge areas. They're all in here with cross sections and water tables. We have detailed for the basin, the double catch basins, the outlet pipes. And this is a landscape plan and snow storage. And this is sheet 8 of 10. And this just shows you the large amount of loam and seeded areas that we're going to have in between between the swales and the CDL driving courses. This would be for snow storage area as well. There's quite a bit of area, as you can see. There will be some regrading of some of the swales over here on this side. But as I said, the basins are designed so that we equal or decrease runoff into the wetlands from the existing conditions. Everything stays out to 25. We have been in front of the Conservation Commission and we are going back to the Conservation Commission on July 22nd after the review from the town and the professional engineer. This is simply operation and maintenance plan, a rough operation and maintenance plan, non-structural methods, good housekeeping, spill control practices, and stormwater pollution plan. Then on the last sheet, I just put the decision for the original site plan approval so that everybody could have it in front of them. I didn't have the date here on my copy, but I believe that the date was confirmed. So at this time, I can answer any questions. If you have questions that Jason would have to answer, I could certainly defer them to him as well.
So this is a modification, so the existing this plan, but there's a building that's proposed off of this driveway. Is that being constructed as part of this, or is that not being constructed at this point?
The building is going to be constructed as part of the first site plan approval. All the infrastructure for the building, water, sewer, are all stubbed off and ready to go. The architectural has finished the architect's plans for the building. And as I had said before, the gas and the water, gas and electric are up in the air. And I think they're waiting on that before they construct the building.
So is that where the school, the bathrooms, the parking is all going to be located, or is that located in Avon?
That'll all be located in Avon. This is strictly going to be the courses themselves. There will be no maintenance down there. There will be no offices down there, no classrooms down there. This is strictly courses to complete what it is. The driving school is so busy and there's such a demand right now that the state and the state keeps sending us students that we're running out of areas. So we had to take this and set that up. Avon had a little power flick going on there and thunder. Yeah, so this is strictly going to be basically just the paved areas with the courses. That's all it's going to be. The trucks will be going back and forth to Avon. They won't be there. No maintenance on site, no mechanical stuff done on site, none of that.
So
The other building was the first plan review.
how did the instructors get there? Did they ride? So there's going to be no on-site parking needed?
So no, they'll be there during the day because what they do is everybody arrives in Avon at the classroom in Avon, and they jump into the truck and they go on their way. They do all their road driving to get to the courses. Some of the courses we have are at the Brockton Fairgrounds, some are over at the Raynham Raynham Dog Track, and then these ones. So they drive to the courses with the student and the truck. They use these courses, which are basically just painted lines and cones. And then when it's time for their testing, the troopers will be there to watch the testing that goes on these courses. But that's basically all it is.
But before any of this is constructed, that access driveway with the cul-de-sac and everything will be paved and completed?
Oh.
Yes.
So, yeah, so right now, the holdup right now is everything's ready to go except for National Grid. We need to put National Grid in the ground, and their engineering department actually just met with us like two and a half weeks ago. And they are just starting the process now to get their engineering people to tell us where to put it. As soon as we can dig the trench and put it in, we're gonna pave it. We didn't want to go ahead and do that because we'd have to cut everything out in order to put the electrical in to build for the building. So right now, National Grid is basically the holdup.
So if
Columbia Gas already gave us their engineered information. They're just waiting for National Grid to finish so that way we can put the gas and electric in the road properly.
So if there's no one drives here by car, they all come in a truck with an instructor. How long? So if somebody needs to use a bathroom or.
So what we do is, what we do is over at the other courses is we use porta johns, and we have an account with CPR, and they come in and pump them and keep them clean and keep them going. And I believe we had talked to Mr. Solari, and I think because of the size of the course is the size of the property, he would ask us to put one. And he would decide the locations to help make it so that way if somebody's there, they don't have to run 14 acres to get to a porta john. We can put them strategically out of the way of the vehicles and everything, so they can be used.
Yeah, you mentioned there'd be no maintenance on site. Does that include refueling? There'll be no refueling on site?
Nope, everything's be done in Avon. Diesel Direct does all our trucks, and they're all in Avon. They stay here.
Okay, you mentioned a Stady oversees some part of these courses. Where would they park on site?
So ironically, what they do is they stay in that cruiser and they just go along. If you look at these things, each of these big long squares, you'll see the different paint marks. And basically what those are is that's your alley dock, it's your different maneuvers and stuff that they're required to do. And ironically, the troopers, most of the time, especially in inclement weather, sit in the cruiser and just drive along the student as he's doing it. If they do need to park, I mean, these are just big wide open areas. They can park, in one of the big squares out of the way and walk with the truck if they
Without
have.
impeding the truck. Okay,
Yeah, sometimes they're in the truck. When they do their pre-trip and their walk around, they're outside of the truck, but a lot of times they're in the truck with the student, watching them do the maneuvers, and then they get out with the student, make sure they didn't run over any of the paint lines or cones. Just like driving a car, just on a bigger scale.
okay, excellent. The trucks on site, are they generally going to be somewhat as depicted, tractor trailers with box trailers? No tankers, nothing like that?
Nope, just strictly single axle day cab tractors, and we use 38-foot single axle trailers, box drive van trailers, you can call them.
Okay, and the spill control procedure you guys had listed indicated that there would be a place on site to store spill control.
Yep, so what we do at the other courses is the driving school, I keep saying the driving school, they actually it's a spill kit, and it's a big drum basically, and it comes with all of the different materials inside there, Speedy Dry, they're called pigs, the blankets that you place down to soak up anything, any oils or any fuels that get spilled, if by chance there was one. So we do have those, they go onto the courses and they stay there.
Okay, so it's just a drum left outside.
It's a big yellow plastic drum that with a screw top, and you unscrew it and everything's inside of it.
Good
Okay,
seeing
that's
you.
all I had. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Antonio, do you have any, I know we're gonna need a technical review from you on this. Do you have any preliminary comments, or do you want to make any at this point? Or?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a while back, I actually did witness some test pits at the site, and the plans that were submitted have not documented those test pits to make sure that the recharge that they are trying to claim, it's not gonna be in the water table. So.
You know it.
Okay, sheet 2 of 10 has the test pit data on it. Is that not what you're looking for?
No, but so if you go to the recharge areas on the detail, it doesn't show the applicable water table that they're using for design. You know, which test pit that they use.
Models here.
Go back, go back. So it shows that, David, you guys show 2 feet minimum.
Yeah,
So the stormwater management guideline says that if you are 2 feet or less, you have to provide a groundwater reach mounting calculation to verify that
Yeah.
you're not gonna with the amount because of the type of soil that you have there.
Yeah.
If you have any amount, that the recharge will be in the water table and therefore will not be effective.
it looks like we have greater than 2 feet on almost all of them.
Look, if you-
2.7.
If you zoom in over there, it's showing that you have 2 feet minimum. You need 4 feet in order to not do groundwater mounting calculation.
Yep. Yep.
But the layout is pretty good. If you look at the site, there's an extension for at the end of the terminus of the existing road. That they actually building a new road, basically a glorified roadway to get to this area here. And they put some ballast and some big size rocks to keep people from driving in there until they actually open up the facility. So really, that's the only thing I have in terms of the stormwater. And I would think that we want to wait until we go before conservation so that you can have a consistent documentation of what the commission is approving and what the planning board is approving.
Is there any lighting proposed on the plan? For the site?
No, there's no lighting. Jay, they're not gonna do any night classes, I don't know.
No.
Any other board questions?
Well, am I hearing, you know, that you don't want to make a definitive statement either way until conservation?
Until I go, because I'm gonna be with the Concom on the 22nd, yeah.
We also.
Because this is what I call isolated upland, subject to building. So it's got quite a extensive wetlands around it. But the delineation of the wetlands, just for the record, the delineation of the wetlands has been approved by Concom, so the line is valid. So the question now is assessing the impact from this project on the wetlands.
Again, just to clarify my mind, what you're saying is that, well, normally conservation makes a decision that doesn't necessarily, you're saying the conservation's decision is going to impact how you decide on.
Right, only because of the large presence of wetlands on the site. And therefore, it also has significant bearing on the stormwater management. So I think the Conservation Commission, by virtue of its responsibility under the Wetlands Protection Act and under the town's wetlands zoning ordinance, I think it will behoove this board, you are not required to, but it will behoove this board, in my judgment, that it defer its decision until you get an input from the Concom.
Well, we also need your technical review. We also need a groundwater modeling analysis, right?
Well, that's all required as part of conservation. That's what I'm saying.
And then.
Arrow don't have much of any layout. There's no real impact on public roadway. You know what I'm saying? Where you're talking about access transition from Scotland Boulevard to Pleasant Street. You don't have any traffic issues associated with the proposal.
You know, one of my questions is that, and I will have to have Mr. Solari look into it. If the school's off-site, and this is just a component of the school, does it, is this a school or is this a parking lot?
It is just cool. You can verify that with the building commissioner, but at the end of the day, it has a building. And then it has, they want it approved as a school because nothing stops them from transitioning from Avon to here.
But the building is not going to be part of the school, is what they're saying. The school's going to be off-site in Avon.
But you're approving a building.
They already approved the building the first time. This is the second part of that lot.
The building is not part of the school. It's a separate entity.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's part of the, in other words, the driving that will be done on this facility is part of the school process.
The school in Avon,
Yeah.
not in the building here.
No.
All right, well, let's.
That actually needs to be very clarified. And then if the board were to approve it, it has to be made clear what it is approving. Because, you used to have these issues crop up all the time when they were doing Fireworks Circle. And at the time I was actually involved in some of the projects on Fireworks Circle. And it also happened on Scholar Boulevard when we did the building with Mr. Iafredi, where they said, oh, okay, this is the use we're proposing. But then they have to come back after you approve it and say, well, it's a minor modification. So I think you need to have a handle on what you actually approve it.
All right, so we need a technical review. We need groundwater mounting analysis. We need, it would be, if we could get full clarification on the zoning to make sure we should be approving it as a school and not a parking lot. Yeah. Take it from there, I guess. I'm concerned that there are no parking spaces if people do come and want to park, where do they park? And I'm concerned about lack of facilities for this, offsite training course for a school as well, so.
I mean, if it's one thing, if it's something similar to what you saw down the Cape, where you have what you used to have, like on a campground where it's a seasonal use. But this is not what is being proposed here. It's not a seasonal use. This is basically year-round proposal. So you have to kind of look at it in that sense.
And just to the applicant, the whole thing, looking at the drainage cross sections, it looks like the whole site will be paved and that'll be a monolithic Cape Cod ground.
Yes. Yep.
Any other questions at this point?
I'm thinking about, I know that you had asked about the lighting. Would we have to, or have the authority to give them a certain hours to, why don't they have lighting?
So that's a good question. Are there hours proposed for the driving course?
They're just usually 8 o'clock. They start and they don't test or do anything at night because of their lack of lighting. They do it at other facilities. So it ends. They're usually, the school closes at 4:30. They're usually back in Avon by 5:30. They don't do any night training or anything like that.
Any other questions?
Well, just to comment on the night again, in the winter, it's going to be dark at 4:30 or 5. So what are we talking about in terms of when do we end?
I think your public safety demands that you have some light in there. I'm not sure if you have had any input from the fire department, but I would imagine that if you have a building this size, you have to have some lighting. If they have to be an emergency response, how do you keep it up from juvenile activities, people going out there and partying in the parking lot?
Right.
Is it locked in? Like, is there a
Oh,
gate
yeah.
or is it just gonna be open?
That's a question for the applicant. How they
Jason, will there be a gate on there, on that drive?
Well, right now there is, because we're in the middle of construction. I'm asking right now. Unfortunately, I'm trying to get all the information I possibly can for you. Ironically, the founder of the school passed away the other day, and the wake was tonight, so that's why I'm trying to fill in. Well, I don't think there will be a gate because that entrance, I know you guys keep calling it a roadway. It's not, it's the driveway. The roadway ends at Scotland Boulevard when it comes in. So the first building, once we get National Grid to put the power in and we can actually build the building, that will be leased out to other people. So we're not going to block off access. So it will be open. I did ask if we were doing lighting. I don't know that 100%. We can't do anything until National Grid gives us power to begin with. So right now, until we can do that, we can't do any lighting. But as soon as I get an answer back, I can let you know that information. But no, as far as I know, no gate. And it's just a wide open parking lot, basically, with painted lines.
So the cul-de-sac that's shown on that plan right now, that doesn't exist, right?
It does. It's there. It's just not paved right now because we're waiting because we needed to be able to run the utilities. Like the hydrant is there where it's supposed to be. The sewer line runs and stops there because.
But that's not Scotland Boulevard,
No,
correct?
that's the driveway. That's the driveway that goes past the first building to this one, to where this lot is.
That's what I referred to as a glorified road earlier.
So at nighttime, when the high school kids get the idea that there's an open roadway
To Willie's.
to race their cars around, there probably should be some kind of a
So,
method of gating it off.
yep. So what we can do is, that's actually not a bad idea at all, is this cul-de-sac you're looking at right here. We can actually put a gate right at this entrance to go into here, right where Dave just put the mouse thing. That's really not a bad idea because we do try to keep people off. At the end of Scotland Boulevard, there's a big cul-de-sac and we've actually caught people down there hiding and hanging out before and we've kind of kicked them out. And I understand what you're saying. We don't like people to do that. And as everybody knows, those Thanksgiving Day burnouts, people like to go find big parking lots. So most likely that'll be a gate right there because we don't want anybody in there.
Just to comment again on if there's a building that's going to be leased out, you have to have lighting. Simple.
Well, I think, one of the things is we're not looking at the whole plan.
Yeah.
So maybe that would be beneficial to see the whole thing, what's existing and approved. And I know we have that in the office. And what's being proposed as the addition. And to see where there is current lighting and because I'm sure in that driveway in, which is over 800 feet long.
So, yeah, so the driveway coming in up to this cul-de-sac, because of plans that we had already done for that building, there is lighting. That was one of the other items that we had to talk with National Grid about because we need to figure out what side to put them on in order to put the bases in, to have everything ready to run the conduit. So we're waiting for them to tell us because we want to put lighting coming in. Everything has to be underground because once they went underneath the power lines on Scotland Boulevard, now everything stays underground. So it's not like before where we could just say, we'll let National Grid figure it out and put everything in, and then we can rent the spotlights that come off of, or street lights that come off of the telephone poles. We actually have to wait for them to engineer it so we can put all of the bases and get everything situated on whatever side of the driveway they want them on, or whatever side they tell us, or we can make it fit so we can put them in. But our goal is to put LED road lamps coming in through that driveway from Scotland Boulevard around to this cul-de-sac. I do know that for 100%.
So Mr. Antonero, just how do we have two separate site plans for one lot?
We have one separate site plan for the road and the building. And then this was, the field was a portion of it with the basins.
Right, but it's not a road, it's a drive, so I guess my question is, how do we sign off on this? Should the whole thing be one site plan now? I mean, so we approved a site plan for part of the lot. Now this is another site plan for the other part of the lot, or is this a modification?
This is just a modification to the field on the site plan, really. The site plan's already been approved. So
I guess how do we close this out? Just two separate site plans for one lot? Is that?
No, it's an expansion of the existing approval.
So it's a major
That's what-
modification. of the
Yeah,
original
and that's why it's a
Yeah.
major modification.
So it should have had,
So is this a major modification or is this a new site?
No, this is a site plan. This is a full site plan approval. That was decided before design started.
so the whole site plan should have been there.
So should we be looking at the whole thing and that's?
Well, yeah, right. Well, it's a major modification requires a full review.
Because
That's correct.
I'm trying to figure out what's before
Where
this
the building
line.
is.
Yeah,
May
And
I?
I can't analyze what's before that line unless you go pull another plan up and,
you have to
Here we
look,
go. Ready?
right, but I don't want to get into that, but that should all be on the same. plan.
yeah, you have to look at it holistically. They can't have segments divided into compartments,
But
right?
just so I'm clear, the driveway is going to be constructed, but the building is not going to be constructed prior to the course. Is that correct?
That is why they're proposing the use of porta potties if they need that.
No,
But the building has nothing to do with the building is not the school.
No,
No.
that whole, so basically that whole field area is for, it's cool. For driving, testing, all that.
For the course,
Right.
because the school's somewhere else. The school's not going to be.
Right.
No.
So that's not part of the submittal. That's what we had before. Or is that in the submittal? I don't.
This
see
is
it.
what we had before. So this is the first page of the site plan that was approved in 2019 for Scotland Boulevard. So this just shows the entirety. So this cul-de-sac here is the end of Scotland Boulevard.
Right.
This is the driveway.
Yep.
And this is the proposed building that's going to be rented that is not part of the driving school. And this is the lot that's proposed to be the driving portion of the driving school.
So I guess my question is, can you have two site plans for one lot, or should this be a major
Well,
modification?
You can have multiple applications and then as long as they're
Yeah,
paying
a
the
major
fees.
modification would have triggered a site plan. So it's the same process. You just, without asking the permission of a major modification, it would have triggered a site plan anyhow because of all the drainage requirements. So that's the purpose of the major modification, is to say, yeah, you need to either meet these site plan
But what I'm
requirements.
saying is this approval is going to extend the whole approval another 2 years, correct? So we
So-
should,
I would like to check on that answer.
so we should
before
be,
I
so we
confirm
should be looking at the
that.
whole, we should be looking at the whole thing, not just a piece of it.
Right, because so keep in mind, these are not separate parcels right now.
Correct.
It's all one big giant project. So that you shouldn't be looking at this area here independent of this. We have to look at it holistically. And that's why I made that comment earlier, that it's important to get a conservation of a review and evaluation of the project, and then also to look at overall stormwater impact. When they did the one way over there, the existing facility, you can see that's a separate project by itself. This here is an extension. There is no separation, if you will. This is not a parcel by itself. So this is one project.
Right, so I think it would be nice.
That's how it should be
I
looked
think
at.
it'd be nice to see what we're missing other than just that,
Yeah,
see the whole thing on one application. Or one submittal.
The issue is that a lot of the first site plan is already in. So you'd have to do a plan showing partial as-built, I guess, of what's there and what's not and what needs to be done.
And then the expansion.
it should be looked at as a modification of what's already done.
It's already
And
approved.
that's how you gotta look at it, okay? Because then you'll be able to look at the cumulative impact. That's
Right,
what-
But the way it's proposed, it's basically, we're looking at it like it's its own lot at the end of a cul-de-sac. But that's really not what we're looking at because it's not its own lot.
No, it's not on its own lot.
It's part of an existing approval.
That is correct. That's exactly that's not a separate parcel by itself.
All right, so you guys can work, you know what we need, for technical review. We need to go back to Concom, et cetera. At this time, why don't we open it up to see if there's anybody from the public that's either in the audience or on Zoom that would like to speak or make comments or questions?
Nobody's raising their hand on Zoom right now.
Do we have any more board questions, or do we have can we continue this to a certain date?
Yeah, I mean, it probably because of the fact that we're looking at this as a chunk of a plan. I don't see a fire hydrant listed anywhere on the site, anywhere with big diesel vehicles. That would concern me. I don't know. I'm sure there's a hydrant somewhere further down. Maybe the fire department review, see if they'd want something a little closer up to this.
Yeah, the hydrant's not shown on here, but I could certainly add it. It's at the end of the cul-de-sac with the stop.
Okay, right by the access drive area.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be in this area right here.
Okay. I would imagine that.
Yeah, without looking at the old plan, I don't know what this lighting coming in. You know what I mean? It's, yeah, we have to pull the old plan up to take a look at it. But in the meantime, there's, I think we should clarify the zoning. I think we should clarify the drainage, the ground mounting, get a full technical review of the whole project. Revisit it at a later date. Any questions?
No, it's obviously a continuation at this point. I guess the question is, till when?
First meeting in August?
Before.
Yeah, we have a conservation hearing coming up on the 22nd and maybe sometime the first week in August or so. I would still like to have, any review by the planning board sometime there for you guys to review it, depending on how the conservation comes back with comments.
So do you think the first meeting in August is too soon to revisit it? If you had at the 22nd?
August would be good, I think.
August 4th, and if we need to continue it further because of Concom, we can.
Have to look at the decision time though.
November.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if they're meeting with Concom, when, 22nd, will they get Concom reply, give a decision by that time? They may not.
If we don't have any more info, we can ask the applicant if they're willing to continue. We should put it on the 4th with a placeholder.
Well, we have the issue of the Concom meeting and then new plans possibly being drawn and town engineer having to look at them. I think we're cutting it awful short for the 4th.
Well, that gives us, I could actually, if it's okay, I could ask for a continuance at that time. We could plan for the 4th and ask for a continuance. If the planning board does need more time, I'd be more than happy to do that.
No harm in it.
Put it on them.
Yeah.
If they can't be ready, then we'll continue.
Okay.
Is that, or what's the second meeting in August?
The 18th.
August 18th.
What does staff think in terms of reviews? And I mean, how are you going to be able to review this and be ready and everything after Concom?
Quite frankly, well, I don't want to be dumping on a cool water on the enthusiasm here. But I think an optimism. But I think August 18th would allow them to truly wrap up everything, because I will be meeting with Concom, submitting the stuff to the Concom. They will have a hearing. People might show up, and then they will have to address, and keep in mind, quite frankly, we are looking to hire a new town engineer. I have the water and sewer superintendent on vacation right now. I have a roadway superintendent on vacation. So I'm kind of doing 4 people's jobs right now, so.
Yeah, I'm fine to go further out too. I'm fine with that.
What's our requirement for approval based on days?
Site plan doesn't, Mass General laws doesn't have a timeline on site plan, but typically it goes along with special permit, which is, I believe, 90 days.
Dates. I mean, do you know when the approval, when we have a certain amount of time we have to approve a site plan or special permit? Is that 90 days?
It's at least 90 days.
Do you have a date of submittal on this?
Yes, let me see. We was. Les, do those plans in front of you?
Well, these were received on May 10th.
The plan, we received them on May 10th, right? And the plans are 4:30.
This looks like May 5th.
So is it, I mean, just for the record, is it okay with the applicant if we continue this hearing to August 18th?
Dave?
Right. So did you hear me? Just, are you, as the applicant, are you okay with us continuing this to resolve the issues to August 18th?
Oh, sure, yeah. Jason, are you okay with that?
Yeah, we have to.
Right. So, do we have a motion to continue this site plan special permit to August 18th?
I'll make a motion to continue with the site plan to August 18th.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
So motion by Mr. Jimmy, second by
Chairman.
Mr. Sal.
I apologize. I would just like to state, we'll need a letter in writing from
Right.
them stating that that's okay, that they've waived that.
Right.
90-day
I'll send out a letter tomorrow.
just-
And if you could just make it till September 1st, that gives us a little bit of a buffer in case the meeting gets canceled or something.
Should I?
We'll-
Okay.
We'll continue the meeting to August 18th. You okay with that?
Yes.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Night,
Thank
David.
you.
So next on the agenda, we're supposed to start at 7 o'clock, it's 7:46. We have Maderas Estates, Sarita Way, definitive subdivision plan. I'll open the public hearing at 7:46. We did receive a letter from the engineer, Mr. Silver, asking for a continuation to our August 4th meeting, I believe. You want to bring that up? So Mr. Silver is asking for a continuation to, what is that, August 4th?
Yes.
Okay, so do we have a motion to continue Maderas Estates to August 4th at 6:30 PM?
I'll make the motion.
By Gene, do we have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Geller. Any discussion? So anybody attending for Maderas Estates, that'll be moved to 6:30 on August 4th. So we have all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So Mrs. Fernandez, do we have any plans, or can you pull up the A and R? Do we have any plans for 1998 South Street? We did get some information from you on this today. So this is by Slate Rock Farms Realty Trust. Silver Engineering. The applicant with us this evening? Mr. Silver or the applicant? If not, Mrs. Farinacci, do you want to give us an update on this, or?
Yes. This is the proposed A&R 1990 South Street. They received a previous
For lot 2, right?
Yes.
So they're creating 3 lots out of 1 lot. Four lots, parcel 16B.
Yes. This lot 1 has 100 and at the second one as well. This lot 2 has 147. Only has 140 feet. The variance for this application was for specifically listed for 2.5. The application, the public hearing that ends. The application was for 1 variance, not for 2. So we discussed between Jennifer and Stephen Solari and myself, we discussed this required a second variance for this 140 feet here. Because this was never addressed in that first.
Because the frontage doesn't follow to the setback line,
Correct.
which is the 40-foot setback line.
Correct.
So the way we should approve this at this point is lot 1 and 16A should be listed as non-buildable, should be okay. 16B should be, Mr. Antonero or Mr. Solari, should 16B listed as a non-buildable lot? And should lot 2 be listed as a non-buildable lot until they get a second variance? Mr. Solari and Mr. Antonero?
Oh, Stephen, he's got
The-
to. Almost muted.
Line
It says right here, 16B is non-buildable at this time, so that's already
Right.
addressed.
That's all wetlands, isn't it? Where's the frontage?
Mr. Solari, are you back on now?
I am on. I gotta be honest with you, I'm having a hard time hearing you guys.
All right, we have it, so we're just asking for, to explain lot 2 and the variance given and your opinion on it at this point.
Right, so lot 2, I'm gonna tell you what happened. I got an application to go in front of the zoning board of appeals for a variance for frontage, and that was the only variance that came to my office. So when I wrote my letter to the ZBA, it was for 1 variance, and that was the about 3 feet, 2 point something of frontage. And the ZBA approved that variance. And nothing on that application asked for any type of a variance for the second part, which would have been, as you can see on that plan, the 40-foot setback does not have the same 150 feet. It's short approximately 10 feet. I know Silver Engineering's complaint was that they had turned a letter into us saying that it was part of it, but I go by the application. The application sent to me was only for 1 variance, and that was frontage. So that lot is deemed unbuildable because it doesn't meet the town's zoning requirements.
If I may, even if they had a variance, the MGL chapter 41L and 40A very clear. The purpose of the form will not require plan application is for endorse the plan that shows frontage and access. They may have access because there's a public way here. They don't have a front. They got a variance over there. So even if they have the second variance, which I agree completely with they need that variance at the setback line because they are required to to the frontage at the center line. They apply for frontage at the street line. But anyway, be that as it may, under one, because they don't meet frontage requirement, you really cannot, even if they get the variance on good variances, you can't really enforce it as a format because they do not meet frontage, they got a variance. So to approve that land, it has to be filed as a definitive subdivision. That's the law, that's how it's supposed to be done. So, you don't enforce it, even if it was together. Because the variance says we will allow you Court of Appeals to build on this. But for the purposes of our DNR plan enforcement, they don't have a frontage, therefore we can't enforce that.
So you can't, or even if they had two variances, you're saying.
You can't enforce it, it has to be the endorsement that you can do for those lot number one. Lot two needs a definitive subdivision application with frontage waiver. Then the planning board will hold a public hearing and then vote would have to waive the requirement for frontage. Because for you to endorse a formal plan, you have to find that it's frontage. That's required by zoning. Getting zoning relief does not translate to meeting the requirements for frontage for the purposes of 41L.
So, Mr. Solari, Mr. Antonino, how do we handle this? Do we approve it and say lot 2 is non-buildable, or they have to submit a new plan, or do we just say, because we can't condition a format?
You can't condition DNR plan of condition. What you have to do is deny the endorsement and then cite the reasons for the denial.
Okay, so we get it correct. In your opinion, or Mr. Solari's opinion, the reason for the denial would be the lack of the second variance.
Correct.
It needs to be submitted as a definitive subdivision plan.
Frontage waiver, because you cannot endorse on the 41L. The grant of a variance by the Court of Appeals, notwithstanding, the planning board may not endorse. The zoning variance doesn't meet for the purposes of building on that lot. But for the purposes of 41L, that does not take care of that. You cannot endorse upon that. Now, if you're going to do a retreat lot that has 20 feet of frontage and 150,000 square feet of land area, by virtue of the bylaw, they meet the frontage requirement because the bylaw says you have 30 feet of frontage and 150,000 square feet. The special permit from the CPE, the planning board can endorse a form because it meets the bylaw requirement for a retreat law. It doesn't meet that requirement because of 150,000 square feet. Land space.
So I guess my question is do they go back to ZBA for a second waiver, or do they come to us for a definitive subdivision?
I've told Mr. Silva that he is required to go back to the zoning board of appeals. He disagrees, but I mean, I told Larry, the application that you gave me, Larry, stated one variance, stated frontage only, and it didn't have the 40-foot, 150 feet. So he knows about it. We've told him, that's why I told him to even wait on this, wait till you go for the variance, but Larry didn't want to.
But I guess my question is to Mr. Antonero, to you, do they go back to ZBA first, then come to us?
No.
Or do they, for a definitive subdivision plan with a waiver, or do they just come to us?
They can do that concurrently. Because for definitive subdivision, you have to have a hearing, a public hearing. You don't have to have a public hearing on
But for a waiver, we have to demonstrate that it's in the public good.
That's correct. So you have to, you're asking you to waive all your requirements, because under the subdivision control law, the end of a definitive subdivision that create a road for the purposes of frontage. And then so, because they're on a public way, there's a specific section on N41L that is called frontage waiver. If definitive subdivision.
All right, so just so we get this correct, if we vote not to endorse, it's because one, they need a second variance at the
No.
setback line.
No,
And two, they need to file a definitive subdivision plan with a
Well,
waiver.
Okay, so this is where, to be very clear. They cannot get a building from the building commission, because the building commission has determined that they do not have the required frontage distance at the setback line. 41L does not address that completely. 41L only addresses meeting frontage for A&L endorsement, meeting frontage requirement at the street line, frontage and access. So there are two things going on here. If they come with a definitive subdivision with a frontage waiver, you can give them that a definitive subdivision approval for now. But they still have to meet the building commissioner's requirement for the frontage at the setback line. So you don't need to cite that one, because that is not congruent with the requirement of 41L. So it's simply that.
Mr. Chairman, could I, spinning in my head, which not much there. I just want to clarify, what you're saying is that on A&R, no matter what the ZBA says, we cannot approve the A&R unless it has the required endorse
Right.
without the 150 foot. So there's no sense in going back to the ZBA on the 140 feet because we can't endorse it anyway. Okay, secondly, how are 3 lots on a accepted street a subdivision? How could 3 lots on an accepted street be a subdivision?
Because it don't meet frontage requirement. That one meets the frontage requirement, but it's being shown that one, they're asking to endorse this plan that shows Ella that does not have frontage.
But you're saying they can come back as a subdivision?
That's correct, for that one, it's called definitive subdivision with frontage waiver.
So can I ask a question, Mrs. Farinacci, because you were at the ZBA hearing, correct? And I think you relayed to me that they demonstrated they could get a 3-lot subdivision in here as of right, correct? So I think in determining whether a waiver is in the public interest, we should also have them submit that so we can see that they, whatever they submitted to ZBA. So because we have to consider if the waiver is in the public good or not. So if the public good is, maybe that's one thing we have. So I'm just saying, maybe we should have them include whatever they can to justify the waiver,
Not as a Form A.
Not as a form, right?
Waiver, Form A, that's no mechanism for granting waivers. Endorsing a plan on that approval point. I'm not saying that the approval is not required. That's the whole idea of A&L endorsement. So you cannot condition A&L endorsement. So they simply need to submit to you a definitive subdivision application from the waiver, and then ask you to waive all their road requirements for the reason that they're not putting any roadway. And as an incentive for this board to consider that, look, we can rightfully do the subdivision. So it's to the point of Mr. Chairman's point, that would be an incentive, if you will, or a rationale of finding by this board to justify granting the market waiver of the.
Because we may say that all this impervious area to get 3 lots near a wetland doesn't make sense, but waiving it at the street thing, or we might say it doesn't. So I think it's important that we get that 3-lot subdivision that they submitted to ZBA as part of the waiver request, right? All right, so.
It just still, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, what we're saying is just in name only, we're changing what we're calling this. We're not calling it Form A anymore. We're calling it a subdivision. Because a Form A is not, we can't approve a Form A based on what you said. So we're going to call it a subdivision and prove it that way.
Maybe if we.
Well, I mean, assuming that they get the ZBA approval of the 150, the setback on the 140 feet. But that's, it just.
And if they can demonstrate that they could do a 3-lot subdivision anyway, we may say we'd rather preserve the trees and or we may not, you know what I mean? So.
Well, subdivision usually requires a road and we're talking about something. We're going to waiver the road as the detention basin, everything.
The whole idea, Mr. Chairman, of frontage waiver in that provision from one is exactly that. Like you're waiving their need for them to meet their road.
Right.
To meet the frontage required. That's basically what we're waiting. Because otherwise, we have to come back and do a cul-de-sac and show that they now have from the adequate frontage. That's really what the law is still there, allowing people to bring that point.
I understand what you're saying. It doesn't make sense to me.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a plan in front of us that doesn't meet the requirements. So all this can be worked out with you folks and Mr. Silver and what we need turned in, and then we can take it from there and have another hearing on it, correct? All right, so based on what we have before us, we're being told we can't sign it. So do we have a motion on the Form A?
I'll make a motion to deny the Form A for lack of frontage on lot 2.
Setback.
So you're making a motion to not endorse because there's lack of frontage at the 40-foot setback line?
Yeah.
And it needs.
Well,
to be-
and the front one too, from my understanding, either.
Just saying,
either setback.
it's simple, don't throw it 40 setback. You're not endorsing the plan because of lack of frontage on lot 2, and it's intended to be a house.
And it needs to be filed as a subdivision.
You don't even need to say that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So would you restate your motion?
Yeah,
please?
I'll make a motion to deny to endorse the plan due to a lack of frontage on lot 2 for a house lot.
For a second,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
What's the wording, Leslie?
All right. Item 4, this is board business. We have Gadsby Drive, a bond release. So if you guys recall, this is a 3-lot subdivision. This was before us prior. The recommendation from the town was to release the bond. Based on the improvements, but not to release the bond because we didn't have what we thought were deed restrictions citing the HOA in each individual deed. Since then, the applicant has provided us with all 3 deeds, correct? And I saw they were highlighted where the deed restriction stating the HOA was in there. So, Mr. Antonero, you're okay with releasing the bond, the full bond on Gadsby Drive, now knowing that HOA is in place and there's an amount of $85,823.21?
That was sure, because that was the sole reason for. And just for reports of information, ordinarily we retain a certain amount for maintenance of vegetation. But as you will recall, we're not recommending that here, as you will recall, 4 lot or less subdivision. And no secret drainage passing. There is no drainage for it. Really told drainage basin maintenance fund for a road that will take in as a.
Okay, so we have any discussion on the bond release? Is there anybody from the applicant that would like to speak on the bond release?
No, I'm sorry, that's Sam Shonai, Mr. Shonai.
Do we have a motion to release the Gadsby Drive bond in the amount of $85,823.21?
It may be slightly different because there's probably more interest or just
Say, and accrued interest.
and any included.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McDonald. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
By Mrs. Garino. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so next up, we have Trinity Circle. This is a bond release. This is a new one that's before us. Mr. Antonero, have you done a review of that site? Do you want us to delay that?
I would hold up only because I did an inspection of, last week. I didn't get to do it with, what, drainage is not functioning, section of, between the circle and, Ashton.
Not functioning or is?
That's enough.
All right, so we'll hold off. We'll continue that to our next meeting, which is,
The 21st.
Well, that's another time when they can always come back and then ask that. So that's what I do with the gas we drive. They don't need to continue.
well, we're not saying we're denying it. We're just waiting for your, we're waiting for your report, correct?
Yeah, so you're denying the request that's before you.
Is there any kind of filing fee for that bond release?
No,
No.
that's why it doesn't.
Gotcha.
It's that way, it's not taking a space.
So at this point, do we have a motion to deny the Trinity? I'm sorry. Do we have a motion on the Trinity Circle bond release, either to approve or deny?
I'll make a motion to deny the bond release for Trinity Circle.
Do we have a second?
A second?
By Mrs. Garino. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
I'm here from Mr. Pachinko.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Come
that's
on,
quite all right.
come on up, sir.
Sorry.
If you could just state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Michael Paolucci, I live at 241 Prospect Street, Easton. I'm here representing Mr. Bujinga, who's away. I'd just like clarification. You said it's not working properly?
No, because when I went there 2 days after.
Yeah.
So.
So at which intersection? At Ashted and,
Yeah, we're between the sides.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I just want to clarify that so that we can address it.
Yeah, like I said, they were to go earlier, you know, matter what, getting the reports out, that's why I'm here.
Mhm.
To provide verbal.
Yes.
Because right now I'm doing focus job for 1%.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to know why it was not functioning properly.
But right around intersection, generally, you're supposed to be cleaned out in 2 days.
Mhm.
That's store away from that. And 5 days later, the water system. So.
Well,
Tax rate is higher than people. Right, and you want to pay them to drain into the cash.
yeah, which catch basin was higher?
Actually, standing on the street.
Yes.
Right.
To the right? Okay.
So,
Right, because the only thing that I'm aware of is the existing mix there. Because I was there when we dug it out. The existing mix was exceedingly thick, like 18 inches. So,
that's why.
so it may have settled. So, you know, what I'm saying is that I believe the catch basins are fine, but the mouth of the roadway may have settled, needs to be addressed.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on that. Ms.
So once that does Michael, we can always come back again. There's no application fee.
Yes, no, I understand. I just wanted to address the correct reason.
So, Mr. We have a motion and a second, but we did not vote, correct?
Right.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So next up is is it Bajinga? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's correct. That's what I'm.
So next up is Mr. Bajinga South Farm Estates, I believe, correct? That's the same developer?
No, different development.
Different development.
Different development, same developer though, correct? And he's looking for the release of lots 1, 2, and 3. We need to have a bond posted to release those. Did you ever look into the conditions of approval in the open space and things of that nature, when those are to be recorded?
I think it might. Sorry.
All right.
Certainly, I didn't see anything. Held this up, but I can't.
So I talked to Mr. Antonero about this earlier, just maybe how to handle it, because I know he hasn't calculated the bond yet, but the developer's done substantial work there. So without a bond calculation, we can't release the lots. But would you recommend releasing one lot if they?
Well, I would recommend releasing two lots. Because if I do one lot, it's well in excess of what's basically doing only these final people. And if I do one lot, it's a lot more than that.
Well, so, but when we've done that in the past, like as a model home or something, we said we'll release the lots, but you can't get an occupancy permit on either lot until the bond is placed.
Right, but if we do subdivision, we held one lot. We need a whole bunch of lots.
No, when we released one lot, like let's say in a couple of neighborhoods like Oldfield and Crimson, we released one lot as a model home, so to speak.
Right, but also those subdivisions that with the expectation of being accepted. This one here doesn't have any expectation. Only 4 lots subdivision, right? And
Is it a 3-lot subdivision or 4 3?
pardon me?
The 3-lot
What I'm
subdivision.
saying, the criteria is 4 lot or less. Right? And so this will, as you give all kinds of waivers, as an incentive for moving 4 lots. So the finish solid, I did all the inspections. The road is built. It was first. And the only thing that's left is final people over that.
So Sarah, is there a particular lot that Mr. Bajinga is looking to start right now?
Yes, lot 3.
Lot 3. How soon do you think you could get a bond calculation for our next meeting in August?
I can get it. Paul will be back on Monday, so we can have that for this next.
August.
We don't have another meeting.
We have one on the 21st.
Steve won't either.
I won't be here either.
Yeah, so the-
I won't-
You don't.
Oh.
So I'm willing to compromise and we can do 1 or 2. I'd just like to do lot 3 if we, and then get a bond calculation and figure out what else he needs to do and he can't get an occupancy permit on lot 3 until the bond's placed, right? That's how we've done it in the past.
Yeah, and then they're gonna finish that house.
Yeah.
But, we should be able to give you a phone. Yeah.
Are you comfortable with that, Mr. Solari, like we've done in the past, releasing 1 lot, but you can't get an occupancy until the bond's placed?
Yeah, we've done that in the past. I have no issue with that. Because I'm sure they're gonna have the bond in place even before they start framing. You guys usually, it's just a matter of the front end, covering it. So yeah, I have no issue.
And forgive my ignorance here, but Manny told me he's willing to leave you guys a check if that expedites anything.
Right, we just don't have the.
No, I know that, but he said he's willing to leave you, leave the town a check.
Yeah, but.
And whenever.
I don't
it's-
think we want to take too much and we don't want to take too little. So I think if we'll release a lot without a check.
No, I don't. I'll leave a blank check. When you have a number, you fill it out and you have it. Okay. No, that's why, that's why I'm saying. I needed to present that to you, but,
We're looking to go on vacation.
Well. You might find a zoo and I in Vegas, right?
then we'll just have to chase after you there.
No, I don't think we want a blank check, so. I'm comfortable. In the past, we've done 1 lot. While we waited for the bond, I'm comfortable with that. Is everybody else comfortable with that? Do we have 2 lot?
I would kind of go down on 2 lots here. I mean, it's obvious there's gonna be no problem getting the bond from them. And like Azu said, the value of the remaining lots more than enough to cover even in some crazy circumstance where they didn't come up with the bond anyways. So I don't see any potential harm from releasing 2 at this time.
Any other comments?
I'm leaning towards 1.
I was gonna say, I'm leaning towards 1 only because we've done 1 for everybody else
Right.
at any time. So I
Yeah.
don't want to start doing the presidents with, well, let's go to
Yeah.
2 and let's go to 1. So I'd say let's release 1 till we get the bond calculation on the check and then.
So we'll
move
release
ahead.
lot 3. Release lot 3 and Mr. Bajinga can keep his blank check for now.
Not for long, I assume.
And then there are 2 that you release once we give you the bond calculation.
Yeah.
Now that's 4.
Mhm.
Right out of the corner.
Right.
The other 1 and 2 we can release on. Okay. So do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to release lot 3, was it?
Lot 3. Yeah.
Second.
Second. Wait a second.
Uh,
Yep.
Are we gonna condition it that before? Mr. Geller? Oh, and we're gonna condition it that no occupancy permit will be given on that house until the bond's placed, which shouldn't be a problem. It's just, that's how we've done it in the past.
Yeah, might as well keep that up.
So a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Don't lose that check.
Only if I get included in on it.
We have minutes from 6:16. Everybody read them? I did not. Did we get them? I'm not sure.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of 6:16.
Do we have
I
a
read 'em.
second? From Gene? Gene's motion? Second. By Mr. Geller? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any board reports, directors' reports, town engineer reports, building inspector reports?
Pending that we don't have anything.
Yeah, well, let's keep it open because I probably won't be here. Mr. Geller won't
I
be
won't be
here.
here.
There's still three if
I
we
won't
need,
be
if we
here.
need. quorum.
She won't
But
be
there's
here.
three other full members that could, if there is a
Right.
Form A or something, we could do it.
Yes, but there's a Form A or
Yeah.
exception request that's all in this. There's not enough applications for that. So the week before, I'll know.
And then, this is Leslie's last meeting, right? So. I wasn't here for the first, but we're here for the last, right? So I probably wasn't born on the first. I just wanted to thank Les for, for everything, he's done a great job. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She's more than, it's more than thank you. I mean, I was on the board in the 80s where Les was in charge. I mean, one thing about her ability was I never had to question anything she did. And she was the rock of the planning board, as she always has been, and she actually, because of her experience, her opinion was valued and still is. It's gonna be tough without her.
Big shoes to fill.
Thanks to Les. I'm sure we'll see her around, but be missed. So. Anything else? Do you want to stay? Do you want to adjourn?
No, let's just sit around and
So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Dean, do you have a second?
I'll second.
By Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Hey, Pat. Should we from now on, when we get, somebody asked to extend, should we announce that before or right at 7 o'clock? Because I know that lady who was sitting right there was waiting for that hearing.
Well, I think,
And I saw that she got up, she was like,
well, I think the only concern about that, Ms. Antonera, right? If we didn't, we could have denied the request, right? So I guess that's the risk. So assuming we're